Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, everyone, we are live, or hopefully so. Real quick, if you could do me a huge favor, comment down below if the stream is coming in good. We've got a little yellow error message on our side saying that viewers will experience buffering, but we've got full bars of service, so don't know what YouTube's doing to us there, or if there's anything we can help on our end, but hopefully this will be a full-length stream tonight, either way. So good to see everybody in the house this evening. I've been taking a checking out the comment section while I've had a chance with Jessica over there at the computer. I am super excited about this evening. We're going to be giving away a lot of good things. We're going to be giving away several pairs of tongs here, or I say a couple pairs, should say. We'll be giving away some slot jaw tongs and some bolt jaw tongs, along with some sticker packs and a flint and steel. So hope you'll join us and stick around for your chance to win all those little goodies while we continue on this decorative hacksaw frame. Hopefully that will all pan out well. Oh, how are you doing this evening, Jessica?
I am doing good. Thank you for asking. And according to everyone in the chat, the audio and the video is good. So maybe it's just a error on YouTube's end where they're popping up a problem, but it's not actually there. So.
Okay, so if there is a problem, make sure to shout it out to Jessica right away, if you wouldn't mind. Our stream moderators, definitely let Jessica know. Give her a holler. And yeah, we'll be getting onto it here shortly. Let's check camera number 2. Make sure that that's running well, Jess. Go to camera number 2, looking good. Everything's hopefully in order and looking good. So here's the hacksaw frame that we're working on currently. Now, there are some things that are going to need to be addressed about this hacksaw frame when I go to all the finish work. But what we're going to be working on this evening is we're actually going to be working on the bolt that'll attach to our little wing nut here. There'll be the bolt that actually holds the hacksaw blade itself. And then we're going to be working on the butt cap, or the portion that's going to hold all of this stuff together. So you guys can kind of see how that's going to go in relation there. So we're going to be working on that this evening. And then I've got a lot, and I do mean a lot, of finish work to do. So for my more astute viewers, maybe you all have noticed something, a little problem that we have with this hacksaw frame. Give them a minute. Maybe they'll see it. Maybe you'll see what's wrong with it. Can they see it from there? Can they? Maybe. All right, well, I'll go ahead and point it out with Mr. Thing here. There is a crack, a big crack that opened up when I adjusted this scroll. I pushed this scroll back a little bit off camera after one of our live streams when we did it, and it opened up a big cold shut, or a crack that was right in here that I didn't see. So that there is going to have to get fixed. I will either braze it, fire braze it, just for the sake of a YouTube video, or I will weld it and grind it to, you know, fix that little area. There's 2 ways you could do it. You can fire braze in the forge with it, or you can weld it with arc welding. The choice is yours there. But yeah, so that'll need a little bit of dressing up work, but this thing is basically ready to go. Wing nut's good to go. We're going to forge the bolt for that tonight, and then obviously this little collar piece, little spacer for our handle, is basically ready to go, and this will need some cold filing work done to it. It'll need a lot of file work to fit it up. So that's where we're going this evening. That's where we're tracking to. I would also like to say up front here, well, how many people we got, Jess, this evening? Are we doing good?
Yes, we are doing good. Yep, it looks like we're sitting at about 83, and our live viewers say they're about 35 minutes out. They're on the chat.
Our what? Oh, our live viewers. Okay, they're about 35 minutes out. Okay, good. Yeah, so we're gonna have some good friends of ours coming all the way up from Indiana. They're gonna be our live studio audience. So if they are in the chat, make sure you make them feel welcome, and hopefully they are having a safe trip up here. So we will have a slight intermission at some point during this stream, and get them all set up, and we'll be good to go, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, so hopefully all that goes out really well. So I'd also like to say a big thank you. So this week we launched our channel memberships for the channel. I still need to get a wood burning kit and burn some names up in the wall for the membership wall. So I just want to give a sincere thank you to everyone who have signed up. I believe with Brett Larson that makes 19 channel members now. And if you can tell the difference, their names are highlighted in blue or green, depending on whether they're a channel moderator or not. If they're a channel moderator, they're all highlighted in blue. They still got the little blue wrench, and they got this little fiery anvil icon, I should say, right next to their name. So it's pretty cool little feature. Of course, they've got some special emojis they can use as, you know, our way of saying thank you for supporting the channel and supporting the stream. So, and the giveaway items, huh? Yep. And next live stream, or let's say the November's live stream, you can thank the channel members, especially for some really cool things that I'm going to be releasing in November. So, some of the giveaway items. The members kind of already know. Hush, hush. Little secrets. We all got to have little secrets. So anyways, yeah, so God bless you all. Thank you so much for being with us. We will get it going here. I've got a piece of 5/8 inch square bar that's, I don't know however long. 5/8 square is 16 mil for those of you across the pond. And this is what we're going to be forging our bolt out of. So the first step in this process, I'm going to neck this down and draw out a tenon that will become our bolt. So I'll get that in the fire there and get it heating up. The fire is really hot tonight. I must have put, there must have been some extra petrol or something in the fire. I don't know. It's a really hot fire, and I already burned up one practice piece that I was messing around with. So, Jessica, how we doing? Who we got?
All right. Well, we have Clam Smasher who sent a donation towards getting you some yoga pants. Roy, we want to see you in them.
He's what?
He wants to see you in the yoga pants.
He wants to see me in yoga pants? I'll DM you. Woo! It's not that kind of membership there, Clam Smasher. Not that kind of membership.
Rob Huff, he says, well, I'm from Indiana. Why wasn't I invited?
Yeah, it wasn't statewide.
Brute Lemon, but we're still working on the kilt. Yes, that's right. We can't deviate. Keep focused.
Keep focused, Clam Smasher. It's the kilt first, then the yoga pants.
Forge says it should be flaming yoga pants, not just any old.
Oh, see, just like these. I'm okay with flaming pants. I got those.
That's project says like your cowboy pants.
Yeah, like the chaps. Oh, so you said Clam Smasher sent a donation. Thank you, sir. Sorry, I didn't acknowledge that. But thank you very much. Sir or ma'am. We'll just leave it sir or ma'am.
I'll
Stop doing that. I made the mistake on Instagram once. I didn't take a real close look at a thumbnail. It was an Instagram profile. Someone had made a comment like, well done. And I'm like, thank you, sir. And then I realized it was just a real short-haired gal. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, whoopsie. I'm like, when you've got a couple hundred chats that you're going through and you're trying to respond to a few people, you kind of get a little bit on a roll sometimes, like, hey, thanks for watching. Hey, I appreciate you. Hey, I appreciate that. Hey, thank you so much, right? Or whatever. You're trying to get through people and at least respond. And then, yeah, that can come back to bite you sometimes if you didn't pay attention. Oh, and I just saw that sign turn red. So, hey, thank you for that super chat.
That is Yamez with a mustache.
Awesome. Thank you, Yamez. You're epic, my friend. All right. So let's go to the anvil, Jess. And we're going to do this first part here. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit different method of drawing down a tenon on the end of a piece of bar stock by hand than what I've shown in the past. We're going to take advantage of using the horn first to create some separation with the end of the bar. So we're going to work it down over the horn first. You want to be semi-precise with your hammer blows. You don't want to go too wild. We're going to work that little tenon down over the horn first and foremost. And what that's going to do for us is that's already going to put in a nice separation. That's already separating out the material nicely for when we want to take and square up those edges a lot more here at the anvil. So now we can go from here where we've created that separation on that tenon where it's a nice smooth separation and transition. And now we can come over here and be more accurate with our hammer blows, or a set hammer if you've got it, and we can true up a nice shoulder, a nice crisp shoulder where that tenon's going to be. Hopefully that makes sense.
And earlier when you were showing off that in the camera, yeah, they were able to see. Yama said he thought that was just something on his screen, and some other people had guessed a cold shut or a crack.
Yeah. Yep. Well, good. Glad you all caught on. Good eyes. Good eyes. Oh. You know, when you're working something like a hacksaw frame, and you know, you're asking it to do a whole lot. You know, you're asking this thing to have a lot of forging dimension and transition. You're asking it to be something completely different than what it was previously. And so depending on how much you're asking from the steel that you're working with, you can develop stress cracks really easily. And those stress cracks can just propagate completely through the piece. I didn't pay attention. I probably had a small stress crack there, and then adjusting it too cold, whack on it a few times, and it pops right open, and that was a stress riser. So, you know, that's one of those cautionary tales of how quickly something like that can develop on you. Now, it's not a real big deal. Technically, I could just totally redo the frame. It's not a huge deal. You can chuck it over in the scrap pile. You can fix it. It'll still function as a hacksaw frame if you decide to braze it and then file your braze clean, or weld it and file that nice and clean as well with a modern process. Of course, that doesn't make you feel, you know, super happy or super good about yourself when you have something like that. But again, that could be your fault. It could be the material's fault. It could be too much heat. Could be a whole host of different things. The important point is to learn from it and then move on. Don't spend a bunch of time criticizing yourself over a failed attempt at something. Get it done, move on from that failure, and use it as a learning curve, a learning process. There are things, many of things that have sat in my scrap pile that had 60, 70, 80 hours worth of work into them, and they were unsellable. They were just completely unsellable because they got to a point that it just couldn't get fixed, and I couldn't let it leave my shop. And those, it's really smart, but you learn real quick that, okay, I can spend a month crying about it, or I could just get back in the shop and get on with it and make another one. So hopefully that'll be a little bit of encouragement to you, is if something doesn't work out, just move on. Just put it aside, make another one. The second one you'll probably like even better than your first one, and don't lose your happiness of being in the forge for it. What we got, Jess? Hey, all right, let's answer those.
All right. First one is from Yamez. This makes the sign change colors. Go green. It is. Well, a little delayed on reading it, but
I am sorry. It was green for a second. What else?
Right. Also, Bar Run Forge, $2.99 super chat. You have not because you ask not, winky face.
Well, give me more super chats. Thou dost not give enough super chats. Thou must make the sign change more colors.
Gotta make it strobe.
Purple. I just want to see people go through the super chats to try to find purple, because there's not purple on the list.
You almost sounded like you're going Yoda there for a second.
I know. I was trying to go Old English, and then that slowly morphed into Yoda. I don't know. I'm being a goofer. I'm on coffee right now, so woo for coffee. All right, to the anvil, babe.
All right.
All right, so now I'm going to start squaring this piece up back into that shoulder. And as I've said before, I like working from the end and walking back up to the shoulder. This helps you keep it nice and consistent. Now this is really fun to practice this by hand, you know, to just challenge yourself to get a little bit better. You're still going to have double hits and little double chop marks. For as long as I've been doing this, I still get double chop marks a lot when I'm doing this. It's not really a big deal because I'm going to end up driving this down into something later, you know, to square up that shoulder, right? You can file that shoulder clean. You can use a monkey tool jammed up on here to refine your shoulder. You could do a lot of different things there, so don't sweat it too much. So now we need to make sure that this dimension here is going to fit through our hacksaw frame. So this is what's going to kind of dictate what we're doing here, is how well it fits through this square here. Doesn't fit, that's fine. We keep forging on it until we get this to fit through there. That's stage one. We go back to main cam. We take more questions.
All right. Let me back up to the super chats here because I did not get to read Rob Huff's yet. He says, looking forward to the GTHS School of Blacksmithing class with Roy in November.
Looking forward to it as well, Rob. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being a channel member. That is awesome of you, sir. And always taking classes. I'm going to have to come up with like a VIP jersey or something for people that, for all the guys that have been taking my blacksmithing classes for like one right after the other, right after the other. Like I need to get you guys like Boy Scout patches or something. That would be great. Oh. What else, Jess?
Also, thank you, Thomas Hale, for your super chat. No comment with his. And Clam Smasher with another super chat who says, Defo needs yoga pants now after that performance.
Hey, you just keep throwing money my way. He might just get a DM with me in yoga pants. You never know. You never know. I'll be like, Blacksmith 1. Forger 2. Someone just screenshotted that and turned that into a meme. I know it.
Always got to have your finger at the ready, you know. Get that.
All right, anything else, Jess, before we go on? Let's do this. All right, let's go to the anvil. All right, so now I need to continue to reduce the thickness of this. I'll do that by drawing back into my shoulder. Let's shove that tenon back over a little bit. All right. Find my hacksaw frame here. Give it a test. Still needs to go down. But it's starting to snag on there a little bit, so we need to reduce this by about half again. And that'll go completely through. Go ahead and heat that up again.
Clam Smasher says, pin up Roy calendar when?
I don't know about you, Clam Smasher. I think this community's getting a little bit worried.
Well, it's not just him, because I think it was last live stream, like everybody was volunteering which month they could do. Like there's gonna be like a Mr. November and a Mr. October and all that.
Well, let me help all you fellas with your delusions of grandeur. Nobody wants to see any of that. I know, you all think you're mighty fine, but trust me, the world does not want to see any of that. Yeah, the blacksmith calendar, yeah. Yeah, no. I just won't go there. Well, ay. What else we got?
Brute Lemon says a metal coin for those who took classes would be neat.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Yeah, kind of like a memento.
Yeah, like a memento thing. That'd be very cool. Any questions about the project, Shug? Anybody got any questions about that?
I haven't seen any yet, but Frank Struck says, easy on the coffee, Roy. Maybe decaf?
Hey. This is kind of half calf. Kinda. I threw some decaf coffee in with the regular coffee. It's just a little extra strong this evening.
Yeah, there's a couple of people who's been saying, you know, they'd like to come to a class, but it's a little far for them. So I just mentioned down in the chat that, you know, they could get with their local blacksmithing club and tell them, you know, they'd be interested in taking a class with us, and that we do we do travel, so they could bring it up and we could start a discussion on that with their club.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, for anybody who wants me to come teach in their neck of the woods, really what it's going to take is probably your local blacksmithing organization to bring me in to do a class. That's kind of the deal there. There's going to need to be that as part of the deal, someone with the local blacksmithing organization to schedule it, range it. That way, it's something everybody can get in on. In general, I'm open to go wherever to teach classes. I love teaching. That's fine. I'm kind of limiting, or I will be limiting my course schedule next year a little bit to where I'm not gone like every other week doing something. I know the previous year to this year, like I was gone constantly from the house here and couldn't get a whole lot of stuff done. So next year I'm gonna do a few less classes, but they're all open and still on the table. I still plan on doing quite a bit at Goshen in Ohio. That's gonna be a good one. Are our live studio guests here?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, I thought I heard a car out there. I just sent a message.
Well, they're either here or someone's stealing my extension cord. I'm looking out there. There's some guy in a jacket rolling out an extension cord. I'm like, well, if that's not them, I guess someone's moving in. So love it. Oh, let's go on to this next real quick step, Jess, and then we'll have our brief little intermission if everyone's good with that. Sound good? All right. Are we at the anvil? Yep. All right. All right, got that all cleaned up. Ooh, man. She's snug, but almost there. All right, right on. Clean that profile up a little bit more. And we'll take one more small heat on that. And with just a little light planishing work, or a little bit lighter forging work, that should then just slip right through that hole. Hopefully. Mm-hmm. All right, what else we got, Jess? We good?
Yeah, we got a couple people still dropping in, of course.
Awesome.
Todd Good to have you. Debaka Maker, WTF Maker Studio, BJ Watts, Corey Shire. Yep.
Awesome. Well, good to have you all. So, I guess we're going to take a little brief intermission. Does that sound good? Huh? I can go one more, if that's fine. We can do that. And then, yeah, so if everyone notices the membership, some people haven't been able to find the join button. And basically, it's right next to the subscribe button, next to my little face icon. There's a subscribe button and a little join thing where you just click it. It's all in blue. And if you want to become a channel member and get your name up on my membership wall. So I'll be doing a membership wall just behind Jessica directly. And I'll actually be burning the names of the members into my shop. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. That's going to be super exciting. And the other perk is you guys get is your names come up highlighted on the streams. Like you see all the other members that are still chatting. I'm hoping they're still here. Are they here?
They are. I got a little sidetracked. Toby Joe, he is a new member, but I got sidetracked by Thomas Hale. Came in for the blacksmithing, stayed for the yoga pants.
Oh, brother. So Toby Yo just became a member?
Yeah.
Thank you, Toby Joe. Toby Yo or Toby Joe? Toby Joe. Thank you, sir. All right. Let's go back to the anvil real quick. All right. Okay. We'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit more. Once you get to this stage of having a tenon on a piece, you need to make sure that you turn the bar every so many hits to get that to stay centered and symmetrical. We want a nice symmetrical tenon, not an asymmetrical tenon. There's things you can do to push it over, but if you do all your forging from just two sides, it'll push. It'll slowly shove that tenon out of square with the bar. So just keep that in mind. At this heat, I'm doing a planishing. It's actually too cold to really forge on. Just a black heat. This is the lower end of a planishing heat. I'm just doing this just to clean up that surface finish. Leaves less to file. All right, so that just fits inside that hole. So that's good. That's what we're wanting. Because there's more taper from this side of the hole. I can always enlarge that hole just a bit, but what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to file this so it fits really snug through this piece. But now we're into that point where we can go ahead and round up the end, or the portion that's going to be threaded. Now, I will say this, that this portion here only needs to be maybe an inch long that is square. The rest of it can be round, and this is way too long. This is way too long. This will end up getting cut off. But it's better to have too much stock than not enough. So you can always whop off material. It's a lot harder to get more material stretched out of an already to dimension piece. You can't, basically. So leave yourself enough material there to draw out, and that way you've got a place for your threading dies to really get in and start creating good threads, and then whop off the extra once you do your final fit up on things. But so we're ready here to go ahead and turn this to a round up to about an inch or 25 mil from that in there. We'll leave that much square. Sound good?
Yes, it does.
There must be an interesting conversation tonight happening.
There is. Claims Master, the promise of yoga pants is too strong. On another note, we have 2 new members. Wartree Ironworks. Has joined us as the Bellows Boy. In addition to the Clam Smasher, is also a Bellows Boy now. A lot of little workers.
Yeah, right on. Thank you all. Thank you very much for joining. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it.
WTF Maker Studio says, how long has Roy's Face Garden been growing?
Face garden? Like 32 years.
Zachary Lovett says, it amazes me how well metal moves for you. I feel like I have to hit it with all my might just to move it or draw it out a little bit.
So that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Let me get a drink here. Getting all choked up about the subject, but no, in all seriousness. So when you're just starting out, it's going to feel like everything takes you forever. And what that comes down to, sometimes it's a strength issue. It takes a while to build up endurance, okay, to hammering all day. Of course, you want to get out there and then you realize, hey, a project's going to take me 8 hours to do, but you only have about 2 hours of stamina. And then you're just shot. It's like lifting weights, right? You can't just go right into the gym and just go benching 300 pounds right off the bat. Like, you have to warm up to it, right? So that's number one. But number two, and this is the biggest thing that haunts a lot of smiths for a while, is the accuracy. The accuracy in which I'm putting my hammer blows. I know it just looks like I'm bouncing the hammer on the steel and on the anvil and I'm just doing a whole lot. But each one of those hammer blows is calculated. I'm putting it exactly where it needs to be to make a progressive forging. So that is kind of the key there. I don't necessarily mention it. I don't mention what every single hammer blow is doing because that would be an exercise in tedium quite a bit. But I explain, every hammer blow is on mark and on point. And that's why the material behaves the way it does, or it appears like it's easier. The steel is still hard. It's still the same tensile strength for anybody who's hitting it. The difference is I have more experience under my belt to be able to move that steel and know what it needs to make corrective maneuvers throughout the forging process, so it doesn't get away from me. A lot of times when I was first starting out and beginning, man, I had such a hard time letting things get out of hand. Things got too far one way, and then I spent 3 hours bringing it back into square or true or straight or whatever, where I'd lose the whole piece and have to start over again. But you'll get better as you spend more time at the anvil dancing that hammer around. Let's go to the anvil, Jess. Speaking of dancing a hammer around. All right, so now I'm going to round this piece up, leaving about an inch. Starting on the diagonals. Trying to draw it out nice and even. And we'll go back to the roundness of the horn just for a second so I can dress up those marks. Big key here is you don't want to let this twist. It's easy to do. You're going to keep this square right now perfectly in line with itself while you round this up. Little pro tip about threading forged components. if you can notice, I don't know if they can notice from that distance or not, there is a small distill taper all the way out to the tip of this here, okay? And I'm really only going to thread probably this last little bit, right? I'm probably going to come back a little further. I only need that to be about 1 inch. But I'm only really going to thread like the last inch of this. But what this will allow me to do is start my threading dies on here and get them square. This way I'm cutting a nice clean thread by the time I get back up to where it counts. So if you forge just a small taper on the end, very light, it's not a big blunt taper, it's just a nice long gradual taper here, it'll allow those dies to find themselves on the piece and get all squared up as they come up to your final threads. And that'll help you out when you make tenons for bolts and things like that, for door knockers and anything else. So now I need to come back with this a bit more on the next little heat there. And how's our live studio audience doing, Jess? Are they?
No, yeah, no word from them yet. They're probably just getting settled in over there.
Probably just getting settled in.
Yeah.
Right. Did we want to take the intermission?
Yeah, we can. I was gonna say Rob Huff upgraded from his status as a bellows boy to blacksmith shop help.
Hey, thank you, Rob. He's like, I'm tired of this bellow boys business. There's too many people here. You need to feel extra special. Thank you for the blacksmith shop help there, Rob. Greatly appreciate it. See, this is the type of, I'm going to do a little rant here, just a little small rant about traditional ironwork. In today's world, I am a little saddened to see that topics that have amazed all blacksmiths for centuries are being less and less promoted over things that are flashy of right now. Blades and Damascus. It's always blades and Damascus. And that's just, you know, if you're not doing blades and if you're not doing Damascus steel, you're not at the top of anything. You can do a scroll, you can do some sort of scroll video, and it could be a traditional scroll. I've done multiple of them, and they all have abysmal views, really abysmal views for what they are. And right now they're sitting dead. That means YouTube's not promoting them anymore. They're not getting promoted because they didn't get enough clicks. People didn't say, ooh, I'd love to see how someone in the 15th century probably made that scroll. No one's doing that, but people are clicking on the Damascus videos like right away. Like, how many Damascus things do you need to see before you get an idea that there's Damascus things that are getting made all the time by all the people out there? You know, how many more chainsaw chain Damascuses do you want to see, right? It's interesting, it's neat. It's one facet, though, of blacksmithing. And right now, traditional blacksmithing, traditional crafts like tenons, that little technique, you know how long it's taken me to learn that little pro tip about threading a bolt, a die? You're not going to get that elsewhere. You're just not. Like that is from over a decade of forging experience over time, making Gothic door knockers and making things like that, and learning from other master smiths and stuff that, like how to do this, right? This thing that's a very traditional technique. And a lot of that's just getting swept under the rug. So like a lot of those videos that I did on the scroll making series, a lot of them have barely 1,000 views on them. And they're not gaining any more views. They're like 0 daily gained views every day. So it's just the way, it's just the way the YouTube algorithm works. And for me, that might sound like, oh, you're just whining or, you're just complaining. But for me, it's what I have a heart for. We can go to the anvil, Jess, while I'm talking. It's really something that I have a heart for because really, what inspired you to get a part of blacksmithing in the first place? For a lot of us, what inspired us to get a part of the whole blacksmithing community in the first place was our interest in, hey, how'd that guy make that gate, right? How did they forge the hinges on the castle at Notre Dame, right? Like that sort of stuff. That's what kind of awe-inspires people at first. You're like, wow, I have no clue how they made that. wow, isn't that neat? You know, some people have gotten into it just purely on the Damascus. That was the first video they probably ever watched of somebody forging, and that's okay too. You know, I mean, that's good. But it's just, it's something I would like to see a resurgence in at some point, is historical blacksmithing, craft, you know, more focus and dedication to the craftsmanship of traditional ironwork, if you will. Because I believe that there needs to be more of that in order for us to preserve that for our future. Because say in 50 years or 100 years, what are people going to be accessing their knowledge about blacksmithing from? Do you think it's going to be from written text? No, there wasn't no written text left for us. It's going to be video format. It's going to be videos like this. This is what they're going to reference in 100 years from now. I don't know, it might be, who knows, it's probably going to be wired straight into your brain or something. But that's one of those things, and if it don't come up, the only thing that they're going to get is how to take and make a sword from a lawnmower blade. And that was like the entirety of what blacksmithing was. That's the entirety of what forging, the whole forging industry was. You know, because that's what the algorithm's is going to send them. It's like, oh, well, back in 2020, guy forged some motorcycle chain Damascus and turned it into a zombie slayer. And then like that, they're like, really? They had zombies back then, Grandpa? No, little Billy, they did not have zombies back then. Oh, anyways, my small rant about that. I'm sure there's a few people who feel the same way, who watch our channel as well, and that's kind of why you all are here. So thank you, long way around the gate. Thank you for supporting the channel here. Thank you for supporting what we do, to be able to keep promoting traditional blacksmithing and go down that route. What's going on?
Oh, I was just...
I get long-winded and I miss
No.
all sorts of stuff.
Oh, no, you're fine. Will Batrick says, while I acknowledge your point, Roy, I think it's a consideration that with many smiths being only hobbyists, the smith needs to choose the project based on what they can spare the time for.
Well, yeah. So I can appreciate that. The only thing that I would say is that the project that you spend your time on, that's totally up to you. There's no more or no less really time in any one given thing that you're doing, especially if you're a hobbyist or if you're just getting going. Forging time is relative to skill level at that point. It's not necessarily to the project itself. There are guys that I have taken classes with that can smoke me in things like this as far as speed is concerned, because they've made like 10,000 of these things. Like, there's guys that make these way better than I do. Like, I am definitely not the end-all be-all in this situation for sure. So, yeah, when you only have a certain amount of time in the day, right, you're very right. You do have to watch what you spend that on, and you do want to do that for whatever interests you most. But when you don't learn fundamental forging techniques, it really hinders you. Really, really does hinder you in the things that you want to make. You want to make Damascus, okay, great, but you don't know how to forge weld anything together. So you're just arc welding everything together and just getting it really hot, but you don't understand the process. So it limits you on how you can manipulate that metal, right? So learning things like your fundamentals, having that be one of those topics at the top of Google search engines, right, is of a value all in of itself. Not that the project itself wouldn't be good. There's plenty of knife makers out there who couldn't draw a taper to save their life. Some really well-known knife makers who can't draw a taper to save their life. And I have no clue why that is. And, well, I do know why that is. They didn't get a foundation in the fundamentals. They just say, hey, I'm going to make this thing. I'm going to make this cool shape, and I'm going to put an edge on it. And then they go on down that path. And then slowly but surely, they get popular. They get really into that. Maybe they make a ton of sales of those sort of things. And they get busy with life. And they don't really have time to go back necessarily and practice fundamentals. You know, that's not what they have time for anymore. And again, and that happens. You stick around blacksmithing long enough, you'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see a guy who'll be at a demonstration, and he'll be the demonstrator at a club event, who knows, maybe sofa, and you'll be watching him and you'll be like, why is it taking him so long to do that one very simple operation? And he's the guy who's instructing, or he's the guy who's demonstrating. Why does it take him so long to upset that piece? Because he never learned how to properly upset a piece of material. Because he didn't go through those beginner steps. Because there was not an emphasis put on the traditional side of the craft when it comes to that. It can only help you to focus on traditional methods. It can only help you more express yourself in the steel going long run. That's my thoughts. Everybody can agree to disagree. That's okay. But all right, we're going to cool off this end. And then we are going to forge this thing, cut it off, so to speak. I'm cooling that down so it doesn't have a tendency to bend. So I'm going to cut this longer than what I need. We're going to cut on all four sides, and hopefully we can drive this to center. There we go. Beautimus. All right. Now we can go ahead and put that back in the fire and get that ready for the next heat. And I will go pick that up off the floor. How's it going, Jess?
Yep.
Have you started a riot yet?
Oh, no, not necessarily.
People can have pretty strong opinions. You know what they say about opinions.
Yeah, just a random off the wall comment here. Yames says that he has the guy pestering him to take on a herd of 18 to 12-year-olds as a blacksmithing day school.
Good luck and Godspeed. I'm gonna heat up that little bolt section again. I'm gonna heat up the little bolt section. I'm gonna square it up just a bit, and then that portion will be good to go.
Clam Smasher says, I've been learning how to move metal more efficiently recently. Been working with a copper ingot I cast a while ago. I now have a lovely cube-shaped object.
He has a lovely cube-shaped object? Good. If you were trying to end up with a cube. If you're trying to end up with a cylinder, well, might have to go back to the drawing board, but. What else we got, Jess? I'm sure the comment section's loaded.
Yames says, the idea was that the parents drop the kids off in the morning and pick them up in the evening.
Let's go to the anvil. Ooh-wee, man, that would keep Yames busy full time. I have children, so I know. All right, just had to clean that surface up a little bit from where we cut it off. Kind of left some ripples I didn't like. There you go. All right, so there we are. Have a nice little cube on the end. I have to clean that up. I do not have a proper die for that right here, but I'll clean that up a little bit later. I'll forge this little tip back into itself. But that is the bolt section there for the hacksaw. And it'll go together something like this. Now, of course, that doesn't fit because, remember, you have to file this. This is going to get filed down and cleaned up. So that portion can be threaded, and then that square portion will sit inside that hole and stop the hacksaw blade from twisting. So that's the key right there. So we got the bolt forged there. Now we need to work on the decorative butt cap, or the little nut that's going to go on to hold our handle material together on our hacksaw frame. And we'll do that out of the same size bar. So let's go set this aside.
We have a comment here from Lemming who said, so people really try to start out making Damascus. I thought my first projects of making my own set of tongs was ambitious, smiley face.
Oh, there's people who try. There are people who try. I saw a guy once at a sofa demonstration. Well, he was over in the U-Forge area, and the guy was drunk as a skunk. I think that was part of the problem, but he was showing all these people that was standing around with amazement, all these young guys, probably 20 or younger, standing around, and he was doing this demonstration. He's showing all this stuff. He's like, now I'm going to show you this extra cool trick. This extra cool trick is how we do forge welding. And he reaches down and he grabs a big pile of dirt. You can't forge weld with dirt. That's like number one. You want the joint to be clean. But yeah, so he grabs this handful of dirt, and so he goes to forge welding, builds a piece back on itself, and he tries to forge weld. It didn't stick. It popped apart. He said, well, we'll bend it back and we're going to make some Damascus. It was a mild steel bar. There was no high carbon steel layers in there. And he grabbed more dirt, threw more dirt on the piece, and then kept hammering it and putting it together. And finally, once my cringe tank was filled, I left the U-Forge area. But it was definitely one of those things. But that's one of those deals. Somehow this guy kind of amassed a following of some sort, and he amassed this following, and he's like, yeah, he did not have the basics or the fundamentals down pat. You really can't shortcut. It's kind of like anything else, any other type of things. You know, if you're going to be an engineer, you can't shortcut the process of getting an engineering degree. If you're going to be an airplane mechanic, you can't just wake up one day and say, I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I think I'll go be an airplane mechanic. I went right in the airplane. You know, same way if you're going to be a blacksmith. You know, you can't shortcut the very fundamental processes of being a blacksmith. You can't shortcut those and be successful. You can try, but you won't be very successful at it. All right, let's go to the anvil. All right, so what I want to do here is I actually just want to round this up. So I'm going to go to octagon first. And then I'm going to take off those corners and just round this piece up. All right. I didn't tell you a certain amount of material, but if you had to go with a certain amount of material, do about 1 inch in length or about 25 mil of material to do this portion here. Main point, we just need enough volume here that when we squat it down, it'll become a nice little washer on the back to become the nut on the butt cap there. All right, take this out.
Question here from Mike. If somebody not a blacksmith was watching a knife being made versus someone watching a hacksaw being made, which one do you think would be more popular?
Just look at YouTube search terms. It'll be knife making. It'll be knife making. Everybody, I think I can attribute that to a little bit that, you know, knife is kind of a universal tool, right? It's a sharp, pointy, stabby thing. It doesn't take rocket science to figure out kind of what it's meant for. It really only has a couple forms. It's only meant to do certain things. To cut your bread or cut your enemies. One or the other. Oh, yeah, it's a multi-purpose tool that's pretty ambiguous. All right, so we're going to cut this off. I'm going to try to cut this nugget off nice and even, if I can. Problem with it being on a shoulder, it doesn't always like to behave. I might have to slow down on the coffee intake. I got the shakes. Nah, you never slow down on the coffee intake. Until it's 3 a.m. and you ain't slept in a few days. Then you probably need to slow it down just a fuzz for your health. All right, we'll break that off. We'll go put that in the fire. This would be the tricky part where we don't want to lose it. So we're just going to set it right on top. Don't dig those down in the fire. You'll regret it every time. I do every time.
Quick shout out to Frank Struck. He joined just a few minutes ago as a Blacksmith Shop Help member.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank Struck. For those of you who don't know, Frank has been a part of the channel for, I think, as long as I've had a channel. Oh, he's a long time member here at Christ Center Ironworks. So good to have you, sir. Good to have you. Thank you for your continued support.
Also a super chat from Brian Howman, who says, I am a bladesmith first, but decided to learn traditional blacksmithing for those fundamentals, and I enjoy your videos. It's handy for fun side projects.
Awesome. Well, good to start converting you to the dark side of blacksmithing. The old school ways.
Lemming says, I do have a counter argument though. At least knife making is drawing more interest to the subject. One can only hope that those people realize that they have a lot to learn and stick with it.
One can only hope. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. It has brought a lot of interest in the subject, which is good. And that's good in multiple ways. It's good for blacksmithing. It's good for guys who run blacksmithing businesses like mine. It's good for people who teach, especially those that are blade makers. It's good for that. There's been a lot of really obscure mastersmiths for a lot of years that are actually getting the recognition that they deserve. You know, they've been smiths for, well, long before I was even born, you know, and they're finally actually kind of getting that rock star status like they deserve, and recognition for all the people they've taught over the years and things like that. So that's definitely a good thing. So can't ask better for it to get popular. Let's go to the anvil, Jess. All right, so now we're going to turn this up on end. And we're going to upset it. I'm going to change these tongs because now they are not holding it appropriately. Might actually have to find another pair of tongs, yeah. I'm gonna have to find the right tongs that I need. But we're just gonna squat that down into a button and then we'll round this up. You can find another pair of tongs real quick. That'll hold that perfectly.
We have a couple of people reminding us that we haven't done any of our giveaways yet. So yeah, we're a little
patient.
They are.
They're being so patient. Yes, it is. I've got the coffee brain right now. You know what, we can take a break and let's give away something. They mentioned it and I will forget it in the next 10 seconds. So let's do that. Since they've been so good in waiting, let's give away some tongs, huh? we are going to start with the bolt jaw tongs. All right, so we got these bolt jaw tongs here. These were provided by Couch Forge Company. They were made by Ken's Custom Iron. So it's just a pair of bolt jaw tong kit. You flip these over. Well, I'm not going to do it right now, but you can use your imagination. They become bolt jaw tongs. Something for you to knock together yourself. And for those of you who are new and just joining us, the way that this works, basically we just have you comment something in the comment section, usually a phrase of some sort of sentence is good. We'd like to have a sentence of some kind. And then when I stop ringing the anvil, Jessica picks a name at random. That's basically how it works. And you can thank all the people with the super chat donations, and now recently with the people who become members. They are what help provide stuff like this in the giveaways. So definitely give them a hand clap down there in the comment section. So we'll be giving away some of these, and then we'll draw again and we'll give away this other handy little thing, this flint and steel that was provided to us from Possum Sausage. So, and thank you for that. And it's also got a bit of char cloth in there. Oh yeah, let's go on camera too. So you got, that's not what it looks like, I promise. And then this here is your striker, and this here is your flint. So you can get all sorts of traditional with that one, in a nice little handy leather pouch. So pretty awesome little kit, especially if you like to do some backwoodsman type stuff. So, all right, we ready? Are they ready? Have they been commenting? They have, yeah. Is their thumbs wore out yet? They're rubbing the calluses off? Yeah. Good. Let them keep pounding them screens for a second. Are we ready? All right, so we're going to draw for the tongs first. I got another pair of tongs, which will be the slot jaw tongs, and we'll give away some stickers as well. We'll do that. We like to do that every stream. Ready? Yep. Set? You sure? Let's go. Who?
All right, I landed on Russell Pillars, who says, need more tongs.
Hey, Russell Pillars. Correct. Congratulations. You got yourself some more tongs. Get with us through the contact. There's not a link, right? It's just an email. Get to us with the email in the description down below. Do that. And Jessica corrected me last live stream, so I'm trying to be behaving better. I said, click the link. And like, there's no link. I don't know what's going on. Throw people through the loop. You know what I mean. Oh. All right, now we're going to give away these flint and steel set. Ready? Who do we got?
All right, we have Joseph Masakari, who says, pick me.
Hey, Joseph. Good. Glad you won one, brother. Congratulations. Get with us at the email in the description. Also, I'll take a moment to recognize Yamez over at Island Metal Forge and Scott Stewart. They send me this great little gift, a little care package. They said I could give it away in a giveaway. I don't know if I'm going to do that just yet. I might hold on to it. Maybe we'll hold on to it for Christmas. I made him a Mawabo. He kind of started doing these little skulls out of steel. A while ago, I made him a really big Mawabo. I think it was like 5 pounds. And yeah, and so he sent me something in return. A nice big thick one here. So thank you, Yamez, and thank you, Scott, for sending that over. That was a great little surprise in the mail, along with the rest of the care package. That was greatly appreciated. Any questions, Jess?
Well, I have to wait for the chat to slow down enough to read something. Emil?
One giveaway at a time.
That's right. Emil says, good to see that you have your fire extinguisher close by in case of fire spread.
What fire extinguisher? Oh, that one. Yeah. I actually need to go have that thing. I actually need to get that thing checked. I believe that's one of the brand new ones. It's so grubby, though, from being in the shop for the last year. You're supposed to have those things checked every year, but I bought them last year, I believe.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I believe that's one I bought. I've got one over there. You can't see it off camera. I got one in the other side of the shop as well. And I've got the ultimate fire tool of them all. I've got screaming and yelling with arms waved, heading that way out that door. That works well too.
Question here on what is your fuel source?
My fuel source is coke. So it's a metallurgical grade coke that I'm using. Basically, it's coal that has been baked in a low oxygen environment, basically, what it is there. I used to use green coal, but I've converted to using coke. And so therefore you see me not cranking anymore on the streams. I've got a little electric blower that keeps it going all the time. It does make a really hot and a really clean fire, and it's also smokeless. So that's a big benefit for me, as I don't want my neighbors to think that my barn really is on fire. I used to live in an area, and I guess I'm waiting for a certain level of people around the area just know, oh yeah, he's the blacksmith guy. Our old place we used to live, I could throw a big green heap and it'd billow out black smoke from my shop, and it looked like the whole thing was ablaze, and like the whole county was on fire, and just everyone in that county knew I was the blacksmith, so they didn't pay no never mind about it. I'm waiting to get to that point. Right now I'm still the new guy here, so don't want to raise too many alarms. Like, hey, what's going on here? All right, we're almost hot.
All right.
What's going on? Still write down names?
No. Yo Max Dog says, do you think it's better to make your own or buy tongs for beginners?
If you're just getting started and you want to just get started into it, I would suggest buy them to begin with. If you're an absolute rank beginner, they do require knowing several of the basics first, or a lot of the fundamentals to start with. So I suggest if you're really just green, just starting out, go ahead and buy your tongs up front. Let's go to the anvil, Jess. All right, we got to correct this because it's not perfectly round. So let me get it rolled up here. Add a peak on it. Get that out of there. Roll it up a little bit more. When you start working with these small pieces, they can kind of fight you a little bit. Important point is to take your time, get it back to round. If you notice it getting out of round. Yeah. All right. Now, as a shortcut, I'm showing you what you can do with material. So you make a lot of things all out of one piece of bar stock for efficiency's sake, keep moving. Really, you could just buy, if you had the steel on hand, you could have just got something that was round to begin with and cut it. You wouldn't have to necessarily do this portion. But being a blacksmith, we're here to smith metal, right? And make things change form, shape, and size. And so for that, it definitely helps. See, flame. It won't hurt anything. It's sitting on the anvil, so it's not going to catch fire or nothing. Because it already caught fire. Duh, Roy. Yeah, I think the coffee's getting to...
Yeah. Rick Kirby wants to know how the fuel consumption compares to when you were using coal.
It's worse. Because you have to keep constant oxygen to the fuel to keep it burning, it does burn more readily. Now, you can shut it off and in between heats. I find that to be a nuisance. Usually I'm forging. When I'm forging, I'm staying like steady at. I'm listening to a podcast or something like that. And I'm one piece in, one piece out, one piece in, one piece out when I'm working, usually. For demonstrations, it's murder. Absolute murder on your coal pile for this. Whereas green coal, you can stoke it up, walk away, have a good rant, come back to it an hour later, and it's still just as hot as when you left it. Let's go to the anvil. All right, there we go. And now we're gonna hold it and smash. Now we're gonna grip it the opposite direction again. And lay it back on the anvil. There you go, little round puck. Now we're gonna make it decorative. We'll set that down here and not rake it into the fire this time. I haven't said anything, but I have about lost this thing in the fire at least 4 times.
Maybe like a little tray or something you could set in there that's all right if it gets burned up after a couple of uses, like expanded steel.
It would all collect at the bottom of my fire pot, and then I'd have to chisel it out, so probably wouldn't be a good idea. That's also one of those reasons why I've avoided brazing in the forge too, as well, because especially with this type of forge, with this cast iron, it's real susceptible to braze falling off brass, and it adheres itself and then eats away at the cast iron. So I've been really cautious about, doing forge brazing in this environment. You can do it if you're safe, but if you get careless with brazing in the forge, it'll run all the way down and stick to everything, and then you'll never get forge welds to stick again a day in your life, and it'll slowly eat at, that dissimilar metal will eat at the cast iron fire pot. We ready to give away some stickers? Let's show them some sticker packs. Do I need to answer anything, address anything?
Oh, yes, just real quick. No. Who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
no complaint department. Yes, I was just going to shout out Todd Good for becoming Blacksmith Shop Help on our membership.
Awesome.
And also Stephen Watkins dropped in. Thank you for the super chat and says, Minion Smithy loves you guys.
Hey, we love you too, Minion Smithy. Thanks for the super chat. Oh, thank you, Todd Good. Thank you for being a member. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, glad to have you on board. So this is awesome. All right, camera 2? Camera 1. Camera 2? 2. Yeah, let's go to 2. 1, 2. 2. All right, we're at 2. I got to keep her on her toes, fellas. All right, so we've got some stickers. You guys have seen these before. Of course, the coveted Year of the Anvil sticker, which we're in, the 2020. I like to look at 2020 as the Year of the Anvil versus anything else. Well, let's just start calling it that. Here's and then this is another one from Dana Maggiore. Thank you, sir, for providing these for us so we can give these away in our live streams. So we will be giving away a couple of these sticker packs. We'll be drawing for that. We can go back to camera number 1. Are you ready, yes, my dear? Yep. Should I give them a few minutes?
No, I gave them a heads up.
Oh, you already gave them a heads up. Okay, you knew where we were going with this long before we got there, huh?
Okay, they just have to chat.
Yeah. Oh. All right, are we ready? Let's draw. We should make them all say, sticker me please. How about that? Sticker me please. Who do we got?
All right, we have Justin Leavitt, who says, nice. I can't find an anvil for less than an arm and leg.
Well, you can get some stickers for less than an arm or a leg. I know that's not quite what you're wanting, but congratulations. Get with us in the contact down below. So, ready? Want to draw another one? Yep. This one, let's see here. Is there anybody saying sticker me, please? Yes. No? All right, let's do it. Who do we got?
All right, this time I landed on Brian Howman, who said, sticker me, please.
Hey, Brian Howman, congratulations. You got yourself some stickers there. Get with us, and we'll get them shipped out to you. Let's do one more, because it's fun. Ready? I really need to come up with some catchy things like booger eye pick or something like that. Really get people saying. Who do we got?
All right, we have Corey Shire who says, sticker me please, Roy.
Hey, Corey. Congratulations, brother. Glad you won. There's those. Give you away some stickers. All right, well, we're also here because Roy will forget. I'm going to give away a pair of tongs.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep. Slot jaw.
Yep. Slot jaw tongs. You ready?
Yep, ready.
How many booger eye pick comments do you have now? None. Because usually when I mention something like that, people are on it. Oh.
There's a delay, or oh wait, there's one.
There you go. Is it just one? From that guy? He gets some stickers by default, just for saying it. Deepwood Ironworks, you get some stickers just for being the only one who picked up on that comment. So, all right. Let's go ahead and draw for the slot jaw tongs. All you gotta do is comment a phrase down below. Ready? Set? Go. All right, who do we got?
This one is Adam, A Life of Fire, stick it to me. Ha 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 ha.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Congratulations. You said it was Adam, Life of Fire?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna go over this real quick just because I'm running out of things to do. And then I'll have to actually work. So I don't wanna do that. I'm gonna drag this thing out as long as I can. Set this down. Only 40 minutes. It's only 40 minutes. All right.
I'm sure you have at least one other Roy rant left.
Nah, I'm kind of all ranting it out. I'm having too much fun to be ranting. Yeah, I think that'll work out good. So can we go to camera number 2, Jess? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually forge this in. I wanna make this a little bit of a rosette. So I'm gonna use a round ball punch and a pair of tongs like you see here. I'm gonna probably use the smaller one because I wanna add more petals to this rosette to make this into that little, that decorative butt cap that we were talking about. And then it'll be drilled in the center and then tapped. So this way it can hold all of our handle material together. So I'm gonna grab the smaller one here. So we're gonna use something like that. We're also gonna work all the way around the piece and put in as many petals as will comfortably fit with this. If you're following along at home, you could do whatever you like here. This could have some nice roping on the edge. You could do some file work. Sky's the limit, really. It could have some engraving done to it, or it could just be plain and polished. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. As I said at the beginning of this project, this is supposed to be a mildly decorative frame, not super ornate frame. Doing that so this way I actually finish this project, which would be good because I got too many unfinished projects as it is. So we're going to use that there, get a tong clip on it, and now we'll get this piece hot and we'll start turning that into a rosette. Find my tongs again.
While that's heating up, you got time for a question?
Yeah, plenty of time.
Brett Larson says, Roy, I haven't run into this yet myself, but what do you do on the days that you just don't have the motivation that you need to get work done? How do you personally overcome it?
I sleep. I'm lazy. Motivation, that is a tricky thing. Sometimes it goes two ways for me. There are days where I have absolutely zero motivation to do absolutely anything. And what I find it's best is to just get out and do something. Whether it's sweeping the shop's floor, it's organizing something, it's hanging up a jacket. Something like that will help you start down the path of getting motivated. And you may not get a whole lot done. For me, I think things out too much. I think 10 moves ahead, and then I scare myself out 10 moves ahead, right, of actually getting anything done. And then I have to say, okay, let's prioritize one thing at a time. Put your right pants leg on, then the left pants leg. and then you just go on. You move on with your day. Do little things like that to help out. There's other days where I'm not motivated to do the work that needs to be done or that's required of me because it's on that level that it's beyond doing like S-hooks. It's something that I've already got 60 hours into a project, and I'm at that critical stage where the next 30 seconds could ruin all 60 hours of it. And so, you get like that. And what I found personally helpful with that, there's another older blacksmith, mentor friend of mine named Steve Roth. He gave me a piece of advice that has been really helpful and instrumental to me. And what the advice he gave me is if you're having those days where you're just kind of petrified to get started on that piece of work that you've really done a lot of work into, and you've got a lot of anxiety about that, start by making an S-hook. Start by making something simple, mundane, something that you can do, that you know you can do. You can make 100 of these things. And just start making those things and get warmed up. And it helps give you that confidence. It starts providing that positive feedback loop that you need to have that confidence to go after your main job for the day. And that I have personally found that to be very helpful in getting into going in my shop some days when I don't feel motivated. Or I have a ton of anxiety about the particular job that I'm working on. So that's been really helpful. Also, the benefit is if you're doing it for a living and you're going to trade shows and booths like that, guess what? Now you got a whole bucket of S-hooks that you've made that you can turn around and sell. So you turn your anxiety into money, which who doesn't like money? No one's anxious about that. So let's go to the anvil, Jess. All right, I'm gonna set this down here. I'm gonna start right on the edge closest to you, don't matter which. Turn it. I'm not starting right on the edge, I'm starting just in from the edge. And you guys will see this as soon as it cools down a bit more. I'm starting right in from the center of the edge. If you start right on the edge, it's just going to flip over on you. You have to start in closer to the center and then work your piece out. Just keep rotating it and working one thing right after another, one at a time. All right, that's a good first go of it. Turn that up and everybody can see that there. See? Really basic. We're just putting a ball and punch into here. Now, if you don't have a ball and punch, they're super easy to make. You just forge down a taper and round it off with a file or on a belt sander. Or you can use a ball peen hammer as long as you use a soft hammer, like a mild steel hammer like what I'm using here, to be able to strike the face, the flat face of the hammer. You can do that to do the same thing here. I suggest getting a piece of mild steel and just rounding off, an end like this if you're following along at home. As long as you keep the piece hot, the mild steel will hold up. If you let it get cold, the mild steel will mushroom. Get that back in fire. Ooh. How we doing, Jess?
Just briefly readjusting some of my screens. The comments froze, but looks like I got it back.
Did you?
Yep. Question earlier.
Still good?
Yeah, we're still good. What are some good demo projects that if you're doing like a show where you're doing a live demo, what are some good things you can do that keep people's attention?
Okay, great question. So basically you want to keep anything that you can get done in about 4 minutes. Oh, unfortunately, that's about as long as you got probably somebody's attention span for. They're walking, they're with their family, it might be hot, they might be standing in the sun, something like that. So you don't want to overthink your demonstration items. Usually the staples are leaves, hooks. You can be forging something larger that has a taper or a hook on it or a twist. crowds love twists. You can just be forging twists. They don't even have to go to anything. You could call them keychains. Cut them off and, you know, punch a hole in them, cut them off, and people will buy them right off your table for you. So you can kind of get creative when it comes to that. I would really suggest to keep it to whatever you can forge, like I said, within about 4 minutes time. So if someone comes walking up, completely green, never seeing what you're doing, you can start and finish that thing in about 4 minutes. If you can do that, that will greatly help you, not only in the sales department, but gathering a crowd, because you're keeping the anvil singing. And as long as the anvil's singing, your pocketbook will be ringing. That's always been true at every show, every craft fair, street fest that we've ever been to, hasn't it, hun? The second I stopped doing that, dispersal. The crowd would just disappear. They'd all go walk away, go find something else to entertain them. The dude blowing balloons or whatever. So you have to keep them entertained while they're there, and as long as they're there, they'll be looking at your table and the things that you have to sell.
Question from Ouroboros. If I made a right-hand pointer, would you use it instead of your left-hand pointer?
But I am a lefty. I don't know. I feel so conflicted. Although, I'll take it. Sure. Why not? I'm a sucker for freebies. Yeah, I'll have two things. Thing 1 and thing 2. Dr. Seuss. Cat in the Hat action right there. All right. Let's get back to something serious. You at the anvil? All right. All right, we're going to drive these deeper, and now I'm going to start angling these out a little bit to give it more of a pedal look. It's going to start kind of scooping the metal out and away. It's going to give it more of this pedal type look. Now somebody asks, some people get annoyed by this, the constant tapping on the anvil. I hit something and then this hits the anvil, and they're like, why do you do that? That's so annoying. Because it's a lot easier to hit here and not stop at mid-air. It's easier on your wrists, your tenons, your hands, things like that. It's also, if you hit here and you just let this bounce, it can double bite on you. Say if you got a chisel you're working with, you make that one strike and it bounces and it comes up and contacts and you get a double line. That's a really bad habit to get into. So it's a hit and you let your hammer move off the piece. And that's why I do that. So this way I do not get a double strike where I don't want it to be. Been asked that a couple hundred times. I've had people complain about that in videos, but that's why. There is a method to the madness of moving that away. There you go, there's a little bit of a rosette butt cap there. Now I'm going to do one other thing. There's plenty of thickness here, so I'm going to provide a little depression right in the center now. So when the tenon comes up through, I'll have a place to peen it down into, and it'll be nicely bradded over, and it'll become that center stamens portion of the little rosette on the end of the piece. So we'll heat this up one last time, and then we'll go ahead and put that in there. If you're asking yourself, why didn't you do that to begin with? The reason why is if you were to put that in there first and then you hammer here, it's going to squat down this center section. If you see how this is scalloped here, it would have been scalloped. Your circle, instead of it being a nice round depression, it would have been scalloped. Like you see how these have kind of took bite marks, hopefully. Can they see that okay? It's taken kind of bite marks. It would have pushed in the walls of your circle and closed it up in on you. So you wait till last to put this in because you've already forged this material away. So now it has some place to go. The displacement does.
Clam Smasher super chatted and said something serious, yoga pants.
He's never going to let that one go. Oh, man. You're going to regret it. You're going to regret
We do have we have a Teespring. They do have where you can create your own leggings with like your logo and stuff. So.
Well, Big Dog Forge, he has leggings. So I might just have to get those Big Dog Forge leggings.
Somebody said you could pair the leggings under the kilt. Yeah, under the kilt.
Oh, Lord.
Question here from Gordon Farmer. He said, I need some advice, please. I've turned down a commission because the person wanted something that was not to my standard. Should I have not?
Not to his standard or not to ability or?
Not to his standard.
Not to standard, okay. If it wasn't something you wanted to do, it wasn't something you were excited about, no. I mean, you don't have to do a commission. I have found myself, in the earlier days of me forging for a living, I just did anything to put the bread on the table, but that will wear you out real quick. You'll get burnt out on smithing entirely, and you'll be like, why do I hate this thing that I used to love? Well, it's because you're just doing anything and everything that comes through the door, and you're not excited about any of those projects. If you don't have something on the line like the electric bill at the end of the month, right, that is requiring you to do a job that maybe not exactly the most happy with, then I would suggest you have the freedom to say no on those sort of deals. It wasn't an option in my earlier days of forging, and now I turn down all sorts of work. Every single month I turn down jobs I don't want to do, just because I'm at that place now in my life, and a certain amount of presence. I got a certain amount of online presence with my shop. I've been around for a long time with Etsy and our website, and my name's gotten out there. It's gotten passed around a lot of word of mouth. And so I get people who will still, I used to sell skillets. I sold about 400 or 500 skillets a year. I don't do skillets anymore. I don't forge skillets. I don't do that. I got out of that kind of type of business because I just didn't want to do them anymore. And we still get somebody about once a month, don't we? Asking at least once a month if we still do skillets, and bummed out because we're not going to forge them a skillet. But it's just kind of the way it works. You have to do what's right for you and something that can be sustainable long term. Because ultimately, you'll find what you're passionate about. And we all know what I think about that. You can never fail at what you're passionate about. All right, we there? All right, so I'm gonna aim for dead center or close to it. I'll put just a small depression. We don't need this to be crazy. We just need it to be a depression. Not depressing, but a depression. It's French. A depression. All right, there we go. We got the little decorative butt cap there forged. So when we see how this project's going to start coming together, that's going to go through there like so. Boom. That's the way it'll look like on the end of the handle. Should be kind of neat.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Let's hope. Let's hope that'll be neat. Set this off the side. Should have the bolt. A decorative bolt will go through here. Well, it's not really decorative. It just holds the hacksaw blade together. Can they see that bolt go? Ugh. Horrible, Roy, horrible. It'll go through there like so. I'll get that trued up. And this will probably just get rounded. I'll square it up and then I'll just round it off. Just like a traditional bolt that you would see there. You can add file work here or roping or whatever you'd like to do. I'm going to just keep it simple on that portion. And then, of course, you can see how the rest of the relationships are going to go. So, of course, that'll have that on that end. And then this here will be dressed up and fine-tuned on this end. So we're coming together. We've got all the pieces forged. Now for all the finish work. There we go. There you have it. What you got, Jess?
Let's see here. Deepwoods Ironworks says you should auction off a skillet, and Yamez says he would take all your skillet making gear and take over for you.
Oh, he would, huh? Yeah, skillets are a really good thing. When I was selling skillets, we were getting anywhere from about $150 to about $250 a skillet for a hand-forged skillet. That's with handles and the whole bit, seasoned, and the way we were doing it. There's people selling them now from anywhere from $250 all the way up to $450 for a hand-forged skillet. So if you can get into that market space, it's definitely worth doing. I am one of those people that I really dislike tedium. So something where I've got to constantly do the same thing every single day repetitively. That just really gets on my nerves. So I can't do that. I like to call it, I actually got a video coming out this upcoming week. You know, it's called Being the Rising Tide, right, in your blacksmith shop. And it's kind of my preferred method of working, and it's raising all ships at once. So I do a little bit over here, do a little bit over here, do a little bit over here, do a little bit over here. And after about, 3 months worth of work, all of a sudden there's like 15 jobs that go out the door all at once, all on the same day. But that's because I'm kind of the rising tide. It looks like I'm getting nothing done for 3 months, but then all of a sudden, whoom, they're all out the door, and that's the way I kind of choose to work. It's kind of the way I like it a little bit. Jessica, she's a list person. She likes going from the top of the list and working to the bottom of the list and then creating a new list for that list and then doing that all over again. But yeah, that's definitely not me though. So, all right, well, that's all I have for this evening, Jess. We finished up early tonight, huh?
Yeah, 18 minutes.
18 minutes, man, we're way ahead.
Yeah, do Q&A for a few minutes.
Oh, you got Q&A for a few minutes?
I
All right,
do.
let's do that real quick. And then we will get out of here. Huh?
See how many S-hooks you could make.
Yeah, see how many S-hooks I can make in 18 minutes? Challenge accepted. I need some 1/4-inch rod or something. We'll do it 3/8. Well, fire away. I want to see how many S I can make in 18 minutes.
Okay. While you're answering questions? Oh, okay. This should be interesting. I believe it was Justin who had asked about your anvil. He said, what do you know about it, and can you tell us?
It is a North German anvil. It's a Pettinghaus anvil. From what I understand, it's been through 2 world wars, and it's 465 pounds. And we call her Olga here in the shop. That's about all I know of it. And it's a big anvil, and I like big anvils. And I cannot lie.
Let's
She don't got an itty bitty waist though. She's just kind of thick all the way through. Oh, go ahead, fire away, Jess.
All right. Also, what hammer weight do you like using?
Hammer weight. What I'm forging with right now is a 1 3/4 pound hammer. I like that weight best. I can move it rapidly. I can get all the work done that a bigger hammer can do in the same amount of time.
Let's see here. Brute Lemon says, what kind of tongs were you using that holded the punch? It looked like talons.
What type of tongs?
Yep.
Was I using for what? For the punch? For holding the punch? Just a pair of custom tongs I made. Basically, you make them like a pair of scrolling tongs, and then you just bend them so they bite onto your material. They're also like a chain maker's tong for those that like to make chains.
Wiley Rook Bladeworks says boxers or briefs.
Rapid fire. Boxers or briefs? Boxer briefs. Watch, the next one will be like fruit.
Yeah, what brand? John Huston says, Roy, what inspired you to get into smithing?
Oh, I've always been interested in smithing ever since I was a kid. And it wasn't until I got married that we stopped at a place, old historical village called Carriage Hill in Ohio, when Jessica and I were just first married. And yeah, I pestered her for like 4 months. Wouldn't that be such a cool hobby? to get into. By the way, 3/8 is not your preferred method for making, is not my preferred method for making S-hooks. 1/4 inch rod or 5/16 is actually better. 5/16 is way better.
Deep.
Just saying, I'm giving myself an out that I don't get that many done in 18 minutes. It's because it's 3/8. 3/8, give a brother some slack. More coffee.
Deepwood Ironworks said, when you use coal, did you use a wet swab or pour water directly onto the fire to control it?
Swab. I like using the coal swab. I used to do pouring water directly on the fire with a dipper can, but then the dipper can fell apart. So now I'm like, hey, I'll try this coal swab method. And never looked back.
Joseph Masakari says, I'm having trouble with stress cracks on my leaf by the stem. Any suggestions?
Ooh, got a great suggestion on that. Be very mindful that you're not lifting up the material as you're forging it and going back and forth like this. What's happening is the leaf is going like this and it's doing a coat hanger effect and then it's breaking off. So be mindful of that as you go along.
Fry's Forge asks, what is in the red toolbox in the back?
Red toolbox in the back. An assortment of tools. That was so specific. That was great. No, I actually have to remember what's in that toolbox. That is a demonstration box I take with me. So it does have an assortment of demonstrating tools. Some of them are punches, chisels, things of that nature in there.
Question from Dana. When are we going to have dinner at his house? LOL.
When his house gets closer to my house? Gets awful cold at supper time, huh? That food does before we get there. Is that it? I answered everyone's great desires and questions? I was about to say, that's pretty...
I was trying to, there's a question for me. I was trying to think if I had an answer. Yeah. Is Lemming, he says, I have a question for Mrs. Blacksmith. Are there any things Roy does that drives you mad, like walking in the house with dirty shoes, etc.? No, not that I can think of off the bat. We don't go for anything white, like no white furniture. We don't do white towels or white clothing. So no, not really. 13 years, we're getting along pretty good.
My existence bothers most folks, at least the trolls.
Frank Strock, he asked, how many J hooks can you make out of 16 penny horseshoe nails in 18 minutes? I don't know if that's the right reference. Or number 16 horseshoe nails.
At one time, a lot. I had a jig for it. I had a power hammer set up for it. Small power hammer. I could make a bunch of them. That's kind of the key here. If you're gonna have to hammer these out by hand, you're not gonna get a whole ton of them done. Power hammer, make it quicker. Dies, make it quicker. Having closed dies, having jigs, hook jigs, things like that, so you're not free-forming every hook, makes it quicker. All those things shave off a bit of time each and every time for you.
Ben Strickland asked, recipe for rivet forged clay refractory.
Just any old clay will work. It's going to crack on you as it dries out, but that's kind of par for the course. So I would say there's nothing really, too magical about that. It's just clay. So usually when they say clay the bottom of the forge, they literally mean just put clay in the bottom of the forge. There's no nuances there. A lot of times, you might see a lot of people trying to sell you on getting, more expensive stuff, refractory, things like that. But ultimately what happens is it all cracks as it dries out because, a coal forge gets way hotter than a gas forge does. And so it's really hard on refractory cement.
Next one, Justin Leavitt. He asked if you can share your testimony.
Ooh. Well, that would be a good one to do. Don't know if I have enough brain to put together right now while making S-hooks to do that appropriately. I would ask, what portion of my testimony would he like to hear?
You could start with the business name, maybe.
Yeah. So I get asked all the time. We'll call that done. Number 1. What's that? No. No, see? I was just about to comment on my live studio audience, how they've been perfect all evening. And now the peanut gallery opens up. At the end of the day, I tell you what. We have 8 minutes. Man, it took me 10 minutes for that first one. Oh, man, I'm rusty and slow. Rusty and slow. It's all these good questions. That's it. It's your all's fault. It's your all's fault. Oh, no. Testimony on the business. A long time ago, so long before I ever even kind of got into doing the blacksmithing, full time, I knew that I wanted to do blacksmithing. I knew I wanted to do it full time. Later on, I got in a car wreck, and that kind of gave me that kick to go get into it because I was, delayed from being able to do my regular day job, which I used to do heating and air conditioning work. But the way the name came about in the business was specifically because of I wanted to keep myself accountable to something higher than myself. I have a personality to where I can be a bit of a narcissist sometimes, where I like to, I like to have things my way. I like being right all the time, things like that. And I wanted to make sure that if I ever turned it into a business, if that was ever really God's calling for me, is that I would keep him in the center of that. And it's pretty hard to take and throw down and curse out a customer that decided they didn't like your item when you've got Jesus in the front of your name and title on your business. It's very difficult to do that. Now, there are certain people, some wolves amongst the sheep there, that would not have any problem whatsoever doing that. But that was the main reason for naming my company that way. Some people have thought that I've named my YouTube channel, which the YouTube channel came way after I was doing that for a business and made that decision a long time ago. They thought I named it that way just for a ministry type thing. So sometimes that throws some mixed signals. I've had people at shows, think that I was a charity. And so they didn't get the fact that I was, they're trying to support my wife and kids. They're like, what are you about? Are you a preacher? I'm like, no. I'm not a preacher. That was not my gifting. Yeah, so that's kind of how that came about. That's a little bit of my testimony there, a little bit of backstory. Jessica has somewhere an about me type thing, autobiography she's writing, eh? Yeah. Somewhere on our website, there's a lot more in depth there. Yeah, the about me, call it that way. I was getting too fancy with it. I started calling it an autobiography. Jessica's like, no, it's really not. No, you're not that special, Roy. See, that narcissism, like I talked about. Yeah, thank God he gave me a good woman to keep me straight. Huh.
That's right. All right, you're... Todd Good, he says, do you recommend any books or other channels for a beginner?
Yeah, I recommend the Coursera series of books. They're a little hard to find. They're out of print, but they are a really good series of books to illustrate fundamentals. I would suggest those. Of course, as most people know, John at Black Bear Forge, he's another good one to watch for doing beginner type stuff, techniques, also more advanced projects as well. I'd say he's another good one as well to watch. There's a whole bunch. There's a ton on there, but I would probably stick with that as my most current and update recommendations. Oh, doesn't help when you're holding it in your hands, Roy. Boom. Shaboom. Put that back in the fire. Shabow. Blam. Yeah, it's been forever since I made S-hooks in any sort of scale or steam. Hey, awesome. That is epic. 498 viewers. Yeah. Yeah, I was adding them. Oh.
Does a hand crank blower work better than a hairdryer?
Yes, depending on what you're forging with. If you're forging with green coal, yes, hand crank blowers are way better than a hairdryer, in my opinion. But I am also biased towards those because that's what I started my smithing journey on, was with a hand crank blower. There we go.
Drayson's Forge, Roy, what are your kilt measurements?
Big. Used to be small, now is very large. You have to go to the drapery store. No, it's not that bad yet. We'll see how winter treats me.
The Wonder Boy wants to know how many plaid shirts you have.
3. And I keep them all washed so I can wear them constantly during the winter. That's the funny thing. I had somebody commenter in one of my videos. Hasn't been recent. It was about a year ago. And he's like, man, don't you ever wash? And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, every video I watch of you, you're in the same clothes. And then I realized, I'm like, oh yeah, that's because I batch videos, so I'll film 7 or 8 videos in one day, and then those will get released, and I don't do a wardrobe change during that. And so they're like, man, doesn't this guy ever take a bath? He's always wearing the same clothes in every single video. And yeah, I thought that was funny. I told him, I said, these underwear I've been wearing for 4 years are still going strong. What are you talking about? Sometimes it helps to be quick-witted, and other times it really doesn't. It doesn't help you that much in life.
Joel Sims says, watched your video earlier about Yamez's Forging Around the World book. Did you make your touch mark or buy it? And where can I buy one once I decide on a design?
There's probably some other good recommendations in the comment section already about where to buy one from. Usually people comment pretty good at that. If they haven't, they should. And yes, I made my own. And I did a video on it. As is my life with this YouTube thing.
Gordon Farmer asks, how can you tell if you're getting a stress fracture or a cold shut?
2 totally different things. A cold shut will appear as if it sucks back into the piece. It'll basically, it'll look like a crack that, are we at camera number 2? Yes, so basically, instead of it looking like this, nice and flush, it'll suck back into the piece like that. That's a cold shut. A stress fracture, it'll be usually on something like a square edge. It'll usually just have a break, like a break in the line or something of the edge line. That's a stress fracture versus a cold shut. Great question.
Ouroboros asks, what do you think of a titanium hammer?
Titanium hammer. I've never worked with one. I would imagine it could have its uses, but I also think that it would be kind of against its, it would kind of be against the point. The hammer is supposed to have some mass to it, as where titanium is lightweight for its mass. So maybe something for a planishing hammer, something like that, it might be nice. But when it comes down to having, you want to have mass in hand to be able to move and to apply kinetic energy and work to the piece. A titanium hammer I don't think would get that done effectively. Now, it would be cool because you could build, like for a 1 3/4 pound hammer, it'd be 2 or 3 times this size hammer for a 1 3/4 pound hammer. And so you could have a lightweight hammer with a big broad face for planishing work or something like that. Might be nice, or striking tools or something. I would think that that would be advantageous in that department. But for regular general forge work, I don't think it would be the greatest. I made a tomahawk once out of titanium. That thing didn't cut nothing. It was a dud. It just bounced out of the wood. It just never bit because it just couldn't provide enough kinetic energy into the piece. And so since the peanut gallery said, what, no pretty twist, here goes the twist. You gotta love good friends. Gotta love good friends. They want to make it challenging. I'll get this heated back up before I do it. That's the wrong one. That's the one I was going for. We'll get this hot one more time.
Iron Dagger and Blacksmith Supply says, what type of steel do you prefer to make your hot work tools from, and why?
Hot work tools, I've been gravitating towards air hardening tool steels here lately, like S7, H13, things like that. If I need a quick tool that for a one-time job, I will just use mild steel, standard structural grade steel, because, well, I'm never going to use the tool again, so there's no need in going through the 4 to 5 hours of hardening and tempering to make a good solid tool. If it's a tool that I'm going to be using a lot in hot work, yeah, it'll be something like that. My real go-to and what I have most plentiful in the shop is 1045 and 1095 steel. 1095 if I want it to hold up a little bit better under, say, a power hammer or something like that. 1045 if it's going to be a handheld kind of tool. Again, this also just kind of depends on what I'm making the tool for. Bam. Decorative twist. Just like that. There we go. We got a hand clap. That might be the ugliest twist I've ever done, but we're under a time constraint here.
Well, we bypassed that 5 minutes ago.
Oh, we did, eh? All right. Well, you could have let me know. I could have stopped hammering 5 minutes ago. All right. What? 502. 502 people or 502? Because it should be 7, right? Oh, okay. Brain. Getting with the times, Jess. It's been a busy week, folks. I shoveled 35 wheelbarrow loads of gravel yesterday into the shop. And I moved about 12 tons of steel the night prior by myself. So my brain does not have to function. That's what I'm saying anyhow. It does not have to function. So there you go. You asked the question. 1 1/4 S hooks in 18 minutes. There you go. I shoulda, see? But I was answering the challenge and the call as it was given, right up front. Oh, oi, 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 oi. Right there. Cool. We good? Yeah, let's answer those.
Yes, thank you guys for the super chats. First one was from Metalman Productions. He didn't leave a comment with his super chat, but he was just dropping in, so good evening to you.
Thank you, Metalman Productions. Greatly appreciate the support.
And the other one was Aimless Adventures and Metalworks. Be well and safe. I'm off to find a bar in the armpit of Ohio.
Well, good luck. Sounds like you need to be safe as well. Oh, good. Is that it? Pretty good.
Let's see here. Yes, that was all the super chats. Brute Lemon says, hey, those are nice hooks. Can catch a shark with one of those.
You wouldn't hook them very good. They got a rolled over rat's tail on the end of them. Wouldn't be any good, so. Well, I would like to personally thank everybody for joining us this evening. Hopefully we made it fun, entertaining, and gave away some good stuff. And next live stream, that'll be not next week, but the following week after that, it'll be whatever date and time Jessica set it up for. Click it down in the description, right? There's a link to that, right? 2 weeks from today, same time. There you go. That's what I'm trying to get across. We will be giving away another 66-pound anvil in that stream. So if you want to be a part of that, definitely come to that stream, be a part of the community, enjoy, chat. There's nothing special that you have to do. You just have to be a part of the stream. You have to be there. And we do the same thing where I just ring the anvil. And when I stop, we give it away to one lucky subscriber. So, you know, definitely do that. So you need to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and set that reminder bell. YouTube, sometimes they are lax about sending out notifications for live streams. I know there are some people that I watch on the regular. I won't get the actual notification. I've already been watching the live stream for an hour and a half, and I'll get a notification for it. So, so if you don't want to miss out, hit that little set reminder bell over there to get your notifications when we do that. And that will make anvil number 10? Yep. Will it now? Woo-wee, we really went through them, huh? A magenta. Hey, that is close to purple. Hold on, let's see here. Does it match my eyes? No?
That was from Iron Room Forge, a $50 super chat, and he says, formerly known as Viper Chucky. Thank you.
Viper Chucky, or what now?
Viper Chucky, so he changed his username. It's now Iron Room Forge.
Iron Room Forge. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for that super chat. That is awesome, coming right in at the end, making it epic. Can't thank you enough for that. Before I leave you, I'll leave you with some final thoughts, and hopefully everybody will like this. Some of my final thoughts, I'm really getting into and enjoying the fact that of all the people who've come into the membership here recently. I hope that will grow, and I hope that we can continue to offer better and better things as giveaway items, you know, into the future. And so far, everyone has been super awesome and epic, becoming channel members. And so I will get your names up on the wall. If you notice in the pre-roll, there was a bunch of credit reel there of all those people. So people who just like this fine gentleman that super chatted just now, those go into everything we do here. Better lighting, better camera equipment, hopefully fixing the barn siding so I don't freeze this winter like I did last winter, or as much, I should say. And yeah, and it goes into better and better giveaway items. So that's something that we do here. Do what you can do. Think about that. There's something going on.
They just super chatted another purple one.
Thank you. My live studio audience does love me. Oh, all right. Well, are you going to mention their name?
Yes. Sorry. That threw me off. Yes, we received a magenta super chat from Laura Jones.
Laura Jones. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Everyone in the comments are giving them lots of thumbs up and clappy hands.
Awesome. Good. Love my community here on YouTube. You all know that. And I'm looking forward to giving away another anvil next live stream. So, all right, without further ado, let's get out of here, huh?
Right.
Sound good?
Yep.
Everybody happy? No complaints? No one's phoning in? No? We're good?
The only complaint all stream is that don't forge knives.
I don't forge knives. Yeah, well, we all have to have some demons in our closets, don't we? All right, that'll be it. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless each and every last one of you out there this week. And until we see you again, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. So we'll talk to you all later.